She like turns pumpkins and things.
Does Prentice have a moon out of character?
I'm sure I've referenced a moon at some point.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can see the moon out there as well. It's just, it's a very, you're not going there, so I haven't put much more thought into it than that.
Yet.
Just checking. I mean, the orbital mechanics you've described absolutely require a lunar slingshot, but whatever.
Fine. You've played more Kerbal Space Program than I have. I defer to your expertise.
What if this campaign ends on the moon?
Then
We crash the tower on the moon, and
So-
that's the finale.
Lucius,
insert Final Fantasy IV joke.
Lucius, are you pulling the trigger on the deception now, or are you going to build up to it over the course of? Because she's stuck out here for 12 hours.
Yeah, I'll build up on it over the course of the.
With like a capstone of you throwing all the stuff out the
Yeah.
What all?
question?
So, Alex is preserving some number of your equipment in his bag, and Lucius is going to make a show of throwing a bunch of other stuff out. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that has the best chance of working because she seems fixated on the hammer.
So, over the course of the next few hours, you guys have a meal together, and she's explaining more about like why she in particular feels like she needs this time of just peace and relaxation in life, where there are no solutions, but that's okay because the world has been left so far behind. But she is there any particular information you're trying to coax out of her over the course of this time? I'll ask that.
So we already said there's Stonkmeyer and 2 other people upstairs, right?
Correct. Stonkmeyer and a young woman, and then the half-elf.
Trying to gauge to see if they have any other, if either of the other 2 might have any kind of funny tricks up their sleeve.
As far as funny tricks, she doesn't imagine so. She kind of makes a point of not wanting to share their stories with you. Like presumably that's something that they themselves will do after you inevitably see how correct Stonkmeyer's vision is and leave your life of violence behind and come have some Kool-Aid. She's very firm on the point of that Stonkmeyer, as a condition of coming onto the crew, you will have to abandon your weapons of war. This is not a negotiable point as far as he's concerned. Lucius, go ahead and give me an insight check over the course of these conversations.
Not a bad roll. That's an 18.
Okay. When you first spoke with Stonkmeyer, he made it very clear that you have no leverage, that you have nothing to negotiate with. Over the course of the conversations with Alpaca Macadamia Nuts, you start getting the sense that's not entirely true. You have the man's spell book, and she hasn't specifically said anything about it, but she has made allusions here or there to something that you might give back as a show of good faith to Stonkmeyer.
Yeah.
You think you have more leverage than he was letting on. I'll let you decide when you want to pull the trigger on making your big show of throwing stuff out the window. And how... Does everybody have a particular way they're going to react to that?
Yeah.
Is Lucius the only one going upstairs? I guess I should ask that first.
I mean, I'm not going, but I'm going to say go ahead, Lucius, and Gus, I'm going to take that cloak of protection for Lucius just in case.
That's fine.
I think it sounds like it's just Lucius going upstairs.
Okay.
I don't think Gus going at all would be a good idea, considering.
I don't
Alex
think
is the one with the acid for plan Q.
I think that was C.
Okay. So, Lucius, when are you going to...
For corrosion.
When are we going to do this? It's up to you. I mean, you
Um,
literally have all the time in the world.
I mean, no sense in. Because she's gonna be taking her leave of us when the wall fades, right?
That
It's,
kind of depends on how much work she thinks she's accomplished. You get the sense that if she hasn't changed any of your minds, that she would probably stay down here for as long as it takes. She thinks she's doing a good job.
okay. Because bringing up the spell book. If we can get a minute, if I can get a minute to Alex, I want to say to him, Alex, we have the trump card in his spell book.
Alex will give you a knowing look.
Yeah. So, do with that what you will. And then yeah, probably after I'd say like another half day or so of Lucius making it more and more apparent that he's about had it with Gustavus's nonsense. He's going to make the show of throwing his spell focus Gustavus's hammer out of the airlock.
So what I would like from Lucius and Gus, let's get individual performance checks from each of you.
Ugh.
Lucius,
16.
you can make this check at advantage because you're actually throwing this stuff out the window.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not
16.
bad.
16.
Wait, no, 17. I'm sorry.
And
I
Gus,
rolled a 15.
Go ahead and add a +5 to that, Gus.
I'm just being comically belligerent.
aren't we all? So,
Hey, can I have one other thing I want to try before we start this?
sure.
Lucius, you have a spell book, right? A ritual book?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the spell book for this wizard, and I'm gonna switch the outer binding cover so that it actually has so Lucius's spell book's binding cover is over his spell book, and I'm gonna let you throw that out the air hole too. So
Here's
I've
the
got
thing,
your
here's the thing is
ritual
that
book bound in the cover of his book, and you're throwing
Here's the
his
thing,
book bound in the cover of your book out the window.
Destil, before you go, I can recall that with an hour.
That's
with
no,
a
but
short rest. I can recover
but when we
that
give
with a
him
short
his
rest.
book, it's going to be useless to him because it's going to be a warlock spell book. You see what I'm saying?
I'm going to say that undoing the binding on either book would be a bad idea just because they're spell books.
Okay.
This would be a very difficult thing to pull off and might actually destroy the magic on either or both
Okay.
books.
Never mind that.
Also, Lucius's
Yeah.
book is like made of screaming faces or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's going to open it up and he's going to get a face full of screaming face.
No.
So, Lucius, you're throwing your own ritual book out because you can recall it later. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I can recall it with a short rest.
So that and Gus's hammer and
Some random wand. I think it's Drudolph the Cosmic's wand, but it's on my character sheet, so.
Drudolph the Cosmic's wand. But nobody else's what? Like, you're not going to pitch Connor's quiver or...
No. That's no.
Connor's,
Beautiful bow stays.
Connor sleeps clutching his quiver like a teddy bear.
More like that beautiful +2 longbow that
So two of you are
Never
in...
made.
Connor and Alex and Scrappy are in the office, in the study. And you hear the argument Gus and Lucius have outside. And she comes up the stairs as this starts, just in time to see Lucius start just throwing stuff out the window. Lucius, I'll let you take it from there. I say window, it's the hole in the wall.
Again, I can't words properly, so I don't really know. If we're going line by line scene, I'm just
Whatever you say, she looks fairly convinced, and she steps up and she places herself between you and Gus. Because Gus, you have a second weapon, right?
Not on me, no.
Okay.
I actually do not have a second weapon on me.
And she holds her hands out at length, clearly preventing Gus from approaching Lucius. And addressing Gus, she says, "I ask that you not bring violence to this man. He's made a very important choice."
I'm going to strangle him to death. That was my hammer. I like that hammer.
Us. God damn it. Lucius, what the hell?
So she starts backing to the stairs as she reaches out with her hand and takes Lucius' hand in hers.
None of us have gotten over Florian's death. Et cetera, et cetera.
Connor's like, I miss Florian most of all.
Gus is going.
What's a Florian?
And Lucius, she's leading you across the room and up the stairs to the ice wall.
Yeah, sure.
What is the time frame? Like how? Like Gus is stalking them. Like
You
innocently.
can stay right on top of them, but she's trying to intersperse herself in between you and Lucius. Like, she doesn't want you to punish Lucius for what you've just done.
Alex kicks off the wall, reaches his arm out, and like tries to like rig something up, make a big show of trying to rig something up. It's okay, I can get it. It's airborne.
Make a make a performance check.
That's a performance of 7.
Of 7. She reaches out, makes a fist, and she starts banging on the ice wall, on her side of it. And she, like Lucius, she's being very reassuring. She's telling you that you've made the proper choice, that you'll find that things are much more peaceful, that there's no need for these weapons of war, there's no need for this life of violence. And is anybody going to try to get upstairs through the wall while it's down? It is technically it's on the table, because they've got to bring the wall down to let her and Lucius through.
Did we discuss? We didn't discuss that.
Nobody discussed anything, but it's about to happen.
No, I'm not going to go up there by myself.
Yeah,
I am
right.
going to get a chance. If I get a chance, I am going to swing on Lucius with my fist to make it extra convincing.
Sure. And so yeah, same thing happens again. Is this time the water doesn't get blown forward. There's not an imbalance of air that needs to rush into the room, but the water kind of just lingers as the wall comes down. And yeah, she just drags Lucius upstairs, and the wall reforms behind them. And now they are out of the campaign forever.
Yay!
Lucius,
Sir.
coming up into the 3rd floor, it looks almost completely different from when you were in last time. For one thing, there are piles and piles and piles of books everywhere. Some are just left to list through the air. Some are tied down in great stacks, great mountains of books all over the place. So, the dais that the telescope sits on, all of the paneling has been removed, stacked up on one side of the room over here, on the other side of where the stairs would be, and tied down. These long wood panels that slid out. And looking into the cavity underneath, you see just a vast array of bizarre machinery and controls. Levers and buttons, things attached by all manner of things. String, clockwork gears, springs and sprockets, and Stockmeyer is feverishly working a great deal of them as you come up. And he turns and sees, I see only one of them came to their senses. And Lucius, you see it before him, set back into the wall of underneath the dais, where there's an open space where a gnome can comfortably get down in. You see what can only be described as like a diagram of the tower, like an exploded diagram, like if you were to cut it in half and unwrap it. And it's arrayed like a sequence of buttons. And one of them has been depressed. And looking at it, you see where it coincides with the part of the wall that started to open on the 2nd floor the other day.
Mm-hmm. That is coming down loud right now. It's raining over my place.
Did you anger Zeus? Because I angered Zeus a few weeks ago, and then my internet exploded.
I remember that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
The other thing you notice
so it looks like he wasn't bluffing. So
the other thing you notice is that the 3 windows have had the same transformation as the one downstairs. The smoked glass steel has been evaporated, and the boards on the outside have been destroyed. And at this, you can see through these windows, the telescope is pointed directly outside of one. The half-elf is sitting in the telescope chair, watching through it, and on his lap, held down with his left hand, he's just got a journal open. You see he's feverishly taking notes in it. Stonkmeyer crawls out from where he's operating all these controls, looks you up and down, says, I didn't think she'd be able to convince any of you. And if she could, I was banking on the gnome.
he's got his mind too far into his experiments and whatnot. I can't see him ever. I can't see him ever coming around.
He's trying to duplicate my work, though he has not a shred of my genius. Well, at any rate, we're glad to have you. He says there's a spare robe and a pair of boots, and he motions over to where the 3 chairs are on the other side of the room. And he dubs you Donkey Biscuit.
I'm sad. I'm very sad. I'm very, very, very sad, Brick Road.
And for the remainder
Donkey.
of your stay here, that's how Stonkmeyer and his acolytes refer to you, as Donkey Biscuit.
I'm full of hatred right now.
But your plan is you're playing the part.
Yeah.
Did you bring up Stonkmeyer's spellbook? Or did you leave that with Alex?
I left that with Alexander.
Okay. And your goal up here is to try to do what exactly? What's the end goal?
My end goal is to basically keep him as diverted and occupied as I possibly can while they work their nonsense downstairs.
Okay.
So Lucius is willing to engage Stonkmeyer on any number of conversations.
Make an insight check. DC is not going to be high at all. Because as you've observed, playing to Stonkmeyer's ego is no difficult task.
I'm going to blip that because I don't want to fail a roll when I'm all alone. That seems like a bad scene. It's a 16.
Okay. You find that the easiest way to get Stonkmeyer distracted for long lengths of time is just to ask him how the stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is stuff that he designed and built and researched in his own time over the course of many years. And he's willing to go into excruciating detail about every piece of it. And he doesn't withhold any of the technology back from you. For example, if you want to take a turn in the big chair and look through the telescope, and he shows you how all of the workings of the tower function up here, and he explains how the magics work on the provisions and shows you the various layering techniques he used to make the big stonking glue boots. You have no problem. Stonking glue boots.
Is that literally their name? That's excellent, and I hate it.
You've hated everything so far. I'm doing such a bad job.
No.
Stonkmeyer, you have no difficulty getting him distracted for as long as you want. As long as you're willing to just let him explain stuff.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine.
And in doing so, something that he describes over and over and over is that he would go into more detail if he had access to his study. and you learn that access to his study is another big bargaining chip that your friends downstairs have.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I'm gonna check my spell list.
Okay. And downstairs, you guys are doing, over the course of, say, the next day or so, while Lucius is upstairs working the magic.
So, I want to try something. I want to, if we're having some time, I want to try casting Dream on Alexander.
Okay, you're just going to make a spellcasting ability check to see if it comes out properly.
Yeah. 15.
You need a 16.
Dark One's Own Luck. Let's throw a D10 on top of that.
Can you roll less than a 1 on that?
I need to roll it. I need to roll a 1. Yep. Thank you, Mephistopheles. I need to get this message downstairs.
Okay. So, yeah, you guys, over the course of the next day or so, over the course of your next long rest, Alex has not had good luck with being contacted through Dream.
No. Yeah, and this is not the nightmare version, correct?
No.
I don't have to make a saving throw? Okay, just check.
Lucius is using this specifically just to pass on information, and we're actually sitting on the barge at Flumph when you have this dream. Lucius is during this dream wearing the silly space robes. During it though.
The painting of Fireblood still up on the wall in the dream?
It's got doodles on it.
Fine.
It's a picture of a sad clown.
So what do you instruct Alex using the dream?
I'll tell Alexander that there's something very important in his study, and that that's where you need to focus your efforts. There's something important about the study.
Other than the calculations in his spellbook?
Potentially.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I cast that spell just strictly to pass a message.
Yep.
Okay. Lucius, otherwise, life up on the 3rd floor, it's extremely relaxed. Most of what everybody does is just read. There are thousands of books available on all different subjects, and it starts to make sense in a kind of strange way that if you were just going to fill 3 years of relaxation, you would bring a variety of just on every topic available.
If there's any suspicion on the magic that I'm using, Lucius is using this. Lucius will explain it away as I'm sending messages to my family to say goodbye.
I mean, you could just wait until everybody else is asleep and do it then.
Yeah, or that. Whichever.
It's not difficult. The problem with being up here alone is there's no sense of privacy. People can't split up. They're all stuck in this room. And in fact, what they've done is they've just removed one of the stones from the upper floor that they're able to just empty chamber pots out into. So it's cramped living, but they have all the books, and that's all that these people were planning to do anyway, was just spend the 3 years reading. But you do get the sense that the acolytes just don't want the tower to come apart.
Yeah.
Whereas Stockmeyer is just willing to hit the button just to spite you guys. Just so you can't have it. It is really needling at him that you have 2/3 of his tower, including his study and his spellbook.
Did I roll for recovery of things on a long rest then?
Yes, everybody who spent things can roll for recovery. Your DC is going to be 17 now.
And second question, do I have to roll anything to change my prepared spells?
No.
Okay.
Ooh.
Only for replenishing a used magical resource.
Is that? I'm guessing that Dark One's Own Luck would count for that as well.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right.
Just want to say
Hey.
17 is a higher number.
It is a higher number.
Yeah.
I did switch out to create food and drink, and I can get those back pretty okay. So we've got a few more days before we run out of good berries.
Oh.
Didn't get my spell slot back, but I did get get my wiggle die back.
Okay.
When you make that higher number, it's actually harder for us to succeed. I don't know if you know that.
See how that works?
I rolled. I rolled 4 times because I have 3 missing spell slot. No, I have 4 missing spell slots, so I need to roll one more time. But the first thing I did, and I had 1 success, and it was to summon my hammer back. Everything else was a failure, so I still didn't get any spell slots back.
Okay.
I got 1 spell slot back.
Oh wait, no, I have one
But
more.
still have a decent amount, and still can't give you Gift of Alacrity.
That's fine.
Lucius,
so
is there a particular piece of information about how the arcane workings of this tower that you're trying to get out of Stockmeyer over the course of that first day?
Basically, how the vehicle maintains is going to maintain its orbital trajectory? Question mark.
Okay. So he explains in detail, and you can pass this information on to Alex.
Mm-hmm.
I want each of you to make me an intelligence check to see how this information gets through the telephone game. Because Lucius, it's extremely dense information, and you have to understand at least part of it, and then you have to convey it to Alex. So let's see how well.
Got 13 on Alex.
Okay.
Throwing another blip on that because holy shit, I can't. Ah, that sucks.
We're down to 2 blips.
Down to 2 blips. That's fucking. That's an 8.
An 8. So Lucius, the technical details is just beyond you. Like he doesn't dumb anything down for anybody. His philosophy is you're as dumb as you are, and you have to be at least this smart to get what he's giving you, and it's not his job to come down the stairs, so to speak. Here's what you're able to glean. There's no way to control the tower's movement directly. There's not it's not like a ship. You're not going to throw up the sails. There's nothing to catch sails anyway. I mean, there's solar wind, but gnomes don't know anything about solar wind. Like, you don't have big mylar sails out there. But he tells you that the trajectory, therefore, had to be planned very, very carefully and calculated very, very carefully. This is essentially the work that Alex has been trying to duplicate downstairs. And he needed some amount of some source of fuel to power the rockets. And he did not... he was planning to do one more test blast before he left. The plan was to do one more test before evacuating everybody up into the tower. The tower got assaulted by you and your minions, so he had to move up his timetable. And what that means is there should be some amount of fuel still left to fire the rockets. And if you knew exactly how to do it, and exactly what to burn and how long, you could alter the tower's trajectory in a particular way. But you'd only have one chance, and you wouldn't get a do-over.
Say to get us safely back down on the ground without murdering everyone.
Safely might be a big ask. Getting back down on the ground earlier than 3 years, definitely doable. So, Alex, that's the information that Lucius conveys, but he's not able to give you any of the actual technical details on how to do it.
Sure.
Or even what they're using as fuel or where the fuel is stored.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Alex has to invent calculus to figure this out, but he's working on it.
So as long as we don't have to stir the O2 tanks, we'll be fine, right?
I mean, what are the odds they have square oxygen filter holes and round oxygen filters?
I was thinking that exact thing. I was thinking about that exact scene from Apollo.
So you say I made Star Trek references, I made Apollo 13 references. What else can I get before we finish the session out today?
There's a new Netflix movie I just watched called Stowaway, where like a guy accidentally launches off in a space shuttle, and like the entire plot is hinged on them having this like CO2 scrubber that's about as big as an Xbox, right? And they only have one, and the thing burns out. And that's where all the I'm like, you only have one of those? Like, you let them bring coffee cups and a guitar and a bunch... and they only one CO2 scrubber? Oh, it ruined the whole movie for me. I couldn't...
But that scene with the scrubbers after working in government contracts for a while, I totally get it, and I totally hate it.
Just saying, NASA would not launch a mission to Mars with only one CO2 scrubber aboard. There would be a backup, and then there would be another backup behind the backup. Anyway, Crazy Gnome Man didn't have any kind of backup. There's no CO2 scrubbers aboard here at all.
Anyway.
So yeah, Alex, you've learned that there should be some amount of fuel still left, enough to fire the rockets one more time. Because there's a test that he wasn't able to do, and there should be some way to manipulate it if you had access to the controls and an understanding on how it worked, to blast this thing back down to the world instead of waiting for its orbit to degrade after 3 years.
Yep.
So I'm assuming we get shared all that, and I think we're back to performing violence upon the Stonkmeyer.
Do we want to give him another day to see if we can learn anything else or convince any of the crew that they don't have to die here?
So this is going to be kind of your, just your schedule for as long as you want it to be. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to interrupt you. You have 1,000 days to work through this. Every passing day, Alex, you do more and more on the calculations, and you get a greater and greater understanding. And Lucius, with every passing day, you're going to have the opportunity to pick Stonkmeyer's brain for more and more. And, of course, there's always the possibility of the rest of you joining Stonkmeyer's crew, or the possibility of Lucius trying to lead a mutiny. So those are your, like, basic options. That's what's going to happen just over the course of days. Each passing day, Alex is going to do more on the trajectory, and Lucius is going to have more opportunity to spin Stonkmeyer around.
So, question for a mechanical issue, can the wording of Misty Step is that it's a unoccupied square you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Does, for the purposes of this, we can see through this wall, correct?
Through the ice wall? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Problem is, I don't think you have line of effect to the wall. You still need, the magic still needs to get there.
Okay.
You can't Misty Step through a pane of glass unless there was an opening.
Okay. I forgot about your line of effect thing. Yeah,
it's not my line of effect thing. It's a rule in the book. It's how it's described in the player's handbook.
Well, I forgot about the line of effect thing. So
some spells don't require that at all. Like Clairvoyant specifically says you can do something on the other side of a locked door, but Misty Step does not have any such provision. However, if you can put a hole in the wall of ice without them noticing, then you could definitely do it. Or you could wait till the wall of ice comes down for some reason and do it then.
So do we want to try and bargain for access to the study?
I don't know.
What would he bargain for?
I mean, he gives us access. We give him access to the study, and he gives us access to the upper floor and provisions. Obviously, we don't give him his spell book back, and Alex pats his bag of holding, because I'm pretty sure wizards can't prepare spells without it.
So you put the spell book into the bag?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Directly into the bag.
Really. He just probably suspects it's still in the...
We're going to find it floating outside in 5 minutes for some reason.
Along with all the other bullshit that Alex has in that bag of holding.
I don't think he'll go for it, but I mean... We also got to consider the fact that I guess he doesn't know we have a spell book.
So the only two things that I can think of that he wants are his spell book, but according to what Lucius said, it seems like he wants the spell book and access to his thing. The only thing we found that matches in my mind, it's obviously not the goddamn cookbook, but that giant scroll case.
Yeah, the schematics that are currently gum Arabic to the ceiling that Alex is using as a cross reference.
Like, is there anything else in the schematics that that we can see that might? I mean, because if it's just all calculations he already had done, then why would he want it? There's got to be something in it that he actively needs or wants.
Right.
Like maybe an escape plan.
Right, and that's I guess we could, if Lucius contacts me again, we can ask him if he can like probe into whether he needs an escape plan or what. Right.
Like if Lucius, like maybe we could get Lucius to like kind of what does he want from the study? Maybe.
Sorry, the tech thoughts. I gotta be able to see the creature. Damn.
But it pierces like everything but lead, right?
We could
Like,
schedule.
it'll pierce a wall of ice because it's.
It will,
That's-
yeah.
We just have to get him in front of the wall.
Right.
Because I can always do this, and Connor taps his head.
Does your telekinesis? Does your whatchamacallit go through ice? Your psychic one-way talking?
Telepathy,
Yeah.
yes. But it's one way. I have to be able to detect his thoughts to make it two-way.
Oh well, wait. This we'll just tell Lucius then.
And just
Just
tell
go-
Lucius to get
Yeah,
him
well,
down.
I'll just go pound on the. Look, Gus, why don't
yes,
you go
alright.
pound on the ice wall with Connor standing behind you and tell Lucius that you're sorry and you're ready to talk. Make a big show of it, and then Connor can talk to Lucius's mind.
Oh, also, question for line of effect: would the hole here and the hole that they have for poop throwing would that count as line of effect?
Yeah, it would.
So we do
Sure.
have a line of effect to there.
As
within
long as
range.
as long as you don't need to be able to see what you're targeting, you can target spells up into that room. A lot of spells require you to be familiar with a room, but you all have been up there. Like, you know how the room's laid out.
And Lucius, I assume, described the poop hole
Yeah,
in the dream. Okay.
yeah.
I'm
Don't you
a
ever
mad
bots out of
child.
it.
Sorry.
Lucius is like, I just like to drop trowel and pee right out the hole. It's my favorite thing to do. I don't know where you guys are all peeing. I just feel like it's interesting.
We've got a whole third floor that's just an empty like balcony.
Yeah, we can just pee out the front
That
door.
scene
No,
of
I
Kevin
just go
Bacon-
down the stairs and lean over the edge.
That scene in Apollo 13 with Kevin Bacon peeing into the tube.
I'm glad we've worked this out, though.
That is questions.
You gotta
needed answers.
cast the spell out through the poop chute.
I don't think.
Lucius, get over here.
So over the course of the next day, Lucius, what information are you trying to get out of Stonkmeyer on day 2?
I want to try and get information about what I want to know is, yeah, no, Lucius will try and see what Stonkmeyer wants for like what's his gain out of this. Like, you make this trip up outside of Trennis, beyond the skies of Trennis. Like, would it not be better to come back with this story with physical or tangible proof of this and take those accolades?
Make an insight check. Make this at advantage. You're actually a working member of Tylesness Apt. You know all about the politics and things that go on.
13.
Tylesness Apt is not a meritocracy. This is not an organization where, like, you show a paper that's got excellent evidence and you've done a grand experiment and they throw you a parade. Whether or not he's going to get recognition amongst his peers is more to do with politicking and what relationships that he's built over the years. And I mean, you have been in Tylesness Apt your whole life and you've never heard of this guy. he doesn't have any kind of relationships. He has what he believes to be the most stunning discovery in magical science in generations, and he's basically has been made a laughingstock.
Then show the guild your ass. Then take it to somebody who can appreciate it. There's got to be somebody out here in the world of Trennis that wants. Who knows what's even living beyond the walls of the three shrines.
Is your goal here to continue distracting him over the course of days to buy time for whatever they're doing down below, or is your goal here to persuade him with your arguments?
To continue to distract him.
Okay. Then go ahead and give me a deception check, please.
16.
He tells you that you're young and that he understands your outlook on how, like, you have this incredible, wonderful knowledge, and if you just bring it back and share it with the right people, it will give you wealth and accolades and power, and you'll be recognized, but in the real world, it doesn't work that way. And, well, I mean, you're not going to grow old because you're going to die in a fiery crash when the tower hits the world in 3 years. But he tells you that in pursuit of the knowledges, the magics, or science, either one, the pursuit has to be enough for you because there is no other reward. And he says that with a sort of bitterness and severity that really makes you believe it. Or at least he believes it. You come to believe that, in his mind at least, just the knowledge of his discoveries being proven right is truly enough for him. And the corollary of that is there's probably not an escape hatch.
No. I guess I'll have to spend another spell to pass that on to Alexander.
Yeah, if you can pass the DC 17 check to cast Dream.
Fuck. That's last two blips.
Last 2 blips, there they go.
Are you serious?
Ah, no, don't spend the blips.
They're already gone. They're gone.
But I have one more thing. Mephistopheles, come on, dude. On the nose.
So we hit DC 17.
DC 17.
So Alex, the next day, Lucius is able to pass that information on in the dream.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll tell Lucius that if he can get to the wall, Connor can talk to him. Connor, if you can get someone else in front of the wall, Connor can maybe pick it away at their mind. And that if he hasn't had any luck getting the other two to agree to anything, we'll probably go in a day or two. We're kind of running low on resources, and magic's getting real hard to use. Hopefully that applies to this guy too.
Alex, have you
Actually,
spent at least
wait a minute. If magic keeps getting harder for us to use, and he's a wizard, and I have a gun,
He's like, I'll defeat you with the power of friendship and this gun I built.
The problem is he's up there and you're down here, and he's the sheriff and you're frozen down here. Alex, have you spent part of this time at least continuing on the research?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much the only thing Alex is doing during the day. He's actually pretty much completely absorbed in understanding the cosmic movement of celestial objects. It's a completely new field to him at this scale.
I want another intelligence check for the next day's work.
Yep.
The DC is 40. I want to know how much you fail it by.
Well, let's go ahead and flash a genius that. So that gets me up to raw intelligence.
Just raw intelligence.
That gets me up to I fail by 19.
For some reason, there's not an astrophysics skill in 5th edition D&D. I'm not really sure.
Would that be a tool proficiency?
you're no closer to like planning out the trajectories or understanding the schematics. Here's what you learn though, because Lucius the other day told you that there must be enough left to fire the rockets once more.
Mm-hmm.
You have enough of grasp of it that given enough time, you could plot out another trajectory. Essentially arbitrary. Any direction you need to go. And you think you could crunch the maths to make it work to basically put you down any point on the surface of the planet you care to go. Whether it be back near Dunfoss or the middle of the ocean, or if you're going to aim for 10 Sails, mysterious continent that he's looking for. But those alterations would have to be done to the physical rockets directly, which means somebody's got to go outside and do it.
Can I make program Scrappy to do it? He's
You don't
got a
know.
3 intelligence.
You don't know yet.
Okay.
That's gonna require a lot more calculation. Because on one hand, yes, Scrappy is physically capable of going outside and moving the cylinders that are still attached to the bottom of this tower. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, you might be lacking the precision required. You're not sure what level of precision is really going to be required. More time is needed.
On the other hand, these spider climbs aren't getting any more likely to go off.
But they do have glue boots.
Oh, that's true.
Question then, like, because you just reminded me about that. Because we can see the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to like our knowledge of, geography, like what the world is supposed to look like. Is there a large landmass, a lost continent, somewhere that we have been able to see? Just the Earth for the last few days?
Give me a perception check. Make this an advantage because you've had all the time in the world to watch the world go by and spinning around. And you can make this... Well, and also Alex has also been observing. So yeah, make this an advantage. You've got all the help you need.
21.
It's difficult to see the actual shapes of the land masses because you have to look down through the weather. At any given time, you can see quite a lot of the world, but also quite a lot is obscured. And what interests you is far down in the Southern Ocean, there does seem to be an enormous cloud bank that just never dissipates. It doesn't move. It doesn't clear away. It looks like there's just a storm there that never subsides.
I don't have any kind of like proficiency with any kind of like cartographer's tools or anything like that, but over a long enough period of time, could I sketch the general layout? Like, I want to take this back with us.
Alex has cartographer's tools proficiency.
Well, can I work with Alex to for him to make the check to record this?
So,
just a map of where this storm is.
Thinking about how Ten Sails was approaching the problem with his magic eyepiece, you could narrow his search by a great deal.
Right. Instead of decades, maybe a couple of years. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, because he was figuring it might take a couple of years just to pick up the trail. And this, you think you could narrow that down to 1 or 2 expeditions.
Yeah.
But you're going deep into the Southern Ocean, far beyond where... there's no... far more south than there are any regular trade routes across the ocean. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and post our straw poll in the chat, because I just realized it's 6:59.
Everyone
Hey,
gets
Gus.
20 blips.
I think we should name that the Great White Spot.
The Great White Spot.
Okay. So we have the air shell and the Contra-Airo shell.
Aero shell and the Contra-Airo shell.
Okay. Arrow shell, gotcha. That's actually going to be the title of the
Step
video.
away for a sec. I apologize.
Contra-Airo shell.
We'll call it there for the week. When we come back next week, we'll see if you guys burn through the ceiling with 21 pounds of acid.
If we don't, then I will be incredibly disappointed.
So, who wants to make their case for blips first this week?
Connor will go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Alignment, neutral good. Good acts exist beyond the realms of order and chaos, and achieving them is the most important thing by asserting that the only way to win here is to just murder hobo everyone and everything.
Murder hobo being, of course, one of the hallmarks of the neutral good alignment.
Yeah. It's the most important thing. Self-preservation here is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Ideals. I must warn everyone of the very real dangers of Fey and Fiends, Fey and Undead, and Fey and other monsters. I'm really proud of this one. For describing astrophysics as Fey bullshit.
I mean, pretty close. Like, I think Neil would agree with you. You know.
As a Fey trickster god.
Subtlety and diplomacy are not in my lexicon for telling that poor woman who has been through a lot and has suffered a lot that she's on a suicide vacation.
I picture Connor just like
this is not
crashing support groups. Like
this is not the vision I had for this character at all.
Like he walks into like the testicular cancer support group from Fight Club, drinks all the coffee, just goes, "You all just need to grow a pair."
Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
I mean, the narrator did, and we all know the tragic end of that story.
Fight Club had a happy ending. What are you talking about?
Anyway,
he did put a bullet in his face.
Who's next?
I can go. I've just got the video and my flaw for admonishing Lucius for say like he's not letting me drink. I'm like, if you think that's enough to get me drunk, and then immediately pulling out a flagon of hooch.
Is that what we're calling it, hooch?
It's just it's basically just straight up.
Get through the day. I understand.
It's like it's not even like good alcohol. It's just clear moonshine in a
Fair enough.
Bathtub.
it's
bathtub
bathtub
minestrone.
moonshine. That's exactly it.
Who's next?
Bathtub minestrone. I'll go.
Lucius.
I have my alignment, lawful neutral, take place in society, work well for your fellow people, take care of your own, for being the advocate for the more peaceful solution and not the murder hobo option. I have my ideals, knowledge is paramount, for first thing he sees when he sees this like private chambers with his stuff is go straight for the books.
There are no shortage of books.
And my flaw, double or nothing. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can't. You're not gonna break it. You're not gonna break your whole freaking tower just to spite us. Oh no, apparently he is.
So, in the book, I have Stonkmeyer's like a little. I have a stat block for him, but it also has a little personality where they give NPCs like ideals, bonds, and flaws. His bond is, won't someone please think of the books? Alex, you want some blips?
Yeah, I've got. There we go. Okay, I've got lawful neutral. Always be willing to take the law into your own hands, but no further for wanting to come up with some sort of bargain with Stockmeyer and his cultists to actually work things out amicably.
Okay.
And I've got my flaw. I'm sure we can handle this for the exact opposite of, well, apply 21 pounds of acid directly to the ceiling.
But Alex still totally thinks you can handle this.
Yeah.
You're on top of it. Who had the most creative solution to a problem this session?
I liked Lucius throwing the stuff out the window.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, yeah.
So Lucius?
Yep.
And who furthered the party's goals the most?
Lucius. Like, I know we generally like to spread them out, but that's 100% Lucius.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Lucius again? Lucius taking all the blips. Who was the badass?
He also spent the most blips.
I did.
Especially when he didn't need to.
Yeah. That would be Alexander for inventing a new field of science in a fantasy world to like pioneering astrophysics.
He's invented aeroshellix.
Well, he coined the term aeroshell.
Shell.
Here's what I like about Alex. Like, his first thought was, what do I call this amazing thing? Not, oh, I should look in Stonkmeyer's notes to see what he calls this amazing thing.
What does Stockmeyer call this amazing thing?
Oh, I don't know. Aeroshell. I mean, great gnomes think alike. So, are we giving Alex badass? Is that the idea?
Same with me.
And one for intangibles.
21 pounds of acid.
I was gonna say for complaining about the 30 gold piece for a textbook.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Give it to Alex complaining about his student loans again for intangibles.
Yeah.
And Lucius takes our straw poll. So,
That's a very good joke, by the way.
Lucius, you earned 6 blips, so you're just going to come in next week because you spent 6.
I spent all 6 this week, so yeah, I'll
So you're
come
just
back
taking
in
them
with
all.
6.
Okay. Gus, you earned
Huh?
2. Blips are currently worth 700, and you have to roll them both over. Connor, you also have to roll yours over. You earned 3. Alex, you have 4, and you earned 4. Would you like to come in next week with 6?
Let me see here. Sorry, give me 1 second. I have to do some math.
That's what you've been doing all session.
I know.
I will say it is a little intimidating trying to run like a space adventure with somebody who's played 2,000 hours of Kerbal Space Program.
No, anything like I'm just giving you a hard time about the orbital mechanics. No, I'm still a little short. If I turn them all in, so I will go in with. I'll cash in 2 of those and go in with 6.
Alrighty. And when we come back next week, I guess it's just Treble will just call next week's video 21 pounds of acid, and we'll see whether or not it's the last video in the campaign. Because the book, it has like a blurb that explains what happens when the tower blasts off. Like, I even know how much damage to do if the tower blasts off while you were standing in the basement area underneath. It says absolutely nothing how to get people that got blasted off in the tower back home. There's nothing at all in the book about that. We're in uncharted territory.
Wait, it's for 10th level adventurers?
Yes.
So they're just assuming you have a wizard with teleport.
Yeah, probably. Alright, so we'll come back next week. We'll apply 21 pounds of acid. Thanks for playing, everybody. See you next Sunday.
Yeah,
Later.
See you.